you hear that, Mary? You're getting groomed tomorrow. And since I'm going to the doctor's tomorrow, maybe we should talk about doctors. So, if you didn't know, I've had one surgery. Yeah, so that was really fun, but painful. Good morning, Future Kate here. This one starts out cozy, but then turns into more of a traditional transition update with me talking about doctors, a little bit about my past, a little bit about mom, and, a little bit of Mary. But if you're here for it, let's go! You guys are actually getting, my best, of each day. Mostly I'm just going around, I'm crying, or so you guys are getting what is recorded the best of me. So I'm sorry. I can't always just be crying on camera and stuff, so I don't. Where are you going, Mary? Did you hear that, Mary? You're getting groomed tomorrow. Oh boy. It's gonna be so different. So I had a pretty good lunch. It was just this noodle dish. You can see it here. But it was pretty good. And then I had a falafel burrito for dinner, which was really good as well. But I'm thinking about a transition update. Did you know, back when I used to live in Arizona with my ex, I had this huge beanbag, and it was huge, and my mom absolutely loved it. Every time she came over, first thing she did, she plopped right in that beanbag. It was called a love sack, and it was so great. It had memory foam inside of it. There was little squares of memory foam, so when you got on it, it was just super soft. It was just such a great thing. And my ex bought it, but it was just such a good thing to just lay in. It was so fun. So mark my words, when I get my own place eventually, I will be getting a love sack. So tomorrow, I am going to the doctor's. And since I'm going to the doctor's tomorrow, maybe we should talk about doctors. And that sounds good to me. So, if you didn't know, I've had one surgery, which was the removal of testes. And I had another surgery on my right breast to remove a lump. It was actually, the funny thing is, the reason I even remember lump is because it's literally a lumpectomy. That's the only reason I remember the name of the surgery. It's just called a lumpectomy. Now, that lump appeared because I'm taking hormones. So that's something that can happen. I mean, I'm taking them again, and I've been taking them for a while again, but I've been a little bit inconsistent lately, but I probably should be taking them because I have them right here. But I should be taking them more often, every day, but I haven't been able to get an endocrinologist. And I got suggestions from both Landon, my old therapist, and more recently I called the Transgender Wellness Center in Riverside. And the problem is that they keep suggesting everything in Riverside, both places, and nothing is really close. The closest I can do is San Bernardino, and I don't know, I'm not a big fan of going over there, because that's around where I used to live with Mom, and just don't feel comfortable going over there. Sometimes I'll get a ride or a drive, or like a delivery that's over there, and I take it, and it just wrecks me. There's just so much history there, you know? Heck, even in Redlands, when I go over there, there's a movie theater there. And Mom would have me, that's where Mom and I always used to go. And she always brought back these like huge bags of popcorn, because she loved popcorn. Sorry, this conversation just went on a tangent. I didn't mean to. It's just, Mom's gone, so it's like super hard. But doctors. So I used to actually have a doctor in San Bernardino, and that was where my endocrinologist was previously. So I might just end up going back over there, even though I'm gonna have to drive by home, my old home. But if I have to go back there, I'll start going back there. I have all my old doctor stuff written down, and maybe I can get the same doctor, hopefully. So for me, I see the endocrinologist usually twice a year, and that's just blood work. So I would go in, they'd tell me to go get blood work, and then I'd go and get blood work. And that was it. But they need a specific place for me to go, so I would go wherever they wanted me to go. So I would do that very often. Well, twice a year. That's not very often. It's only scary if you don't like needles, and I don't mind. Okay. When I first got, blood drawn, I was a little creeped out, but I've never been really afraid of much pain. And except for with my feet have been like the worst when it comes to pain. But yeah, I've always been very desensitized to pain. I used to actually pull out my hair because I could feel it, but it just wasn't very painful. And I was just an idiot when I was growing up. But yeah, that was, I don't know, I was just like, I was an idiot. It was in junior high when I was doing that. I don't know. Sorry. Tangent. I went to see a lot of different doctors for my feet to try and get them to, be better, but that didn't work out. But that wasn't trans-related. Let's see, any other trans-related doctors? Back in 2011, I did get a family therapist. That was my first doctor for helping me with trans issues. And he was really kind. That was back in 2011 when I was still streaming, or not streaming. The streaming came like 2 years after that, actually. When I first started this vlog, the year after I started this vlog. But I was actually doing the vlog when I was talking to you guys about bringing my parents in to see my therapist with me, and I did end up doing that. It didn't go well. No, it did not. It ended up being a big thing about me doing chores instead of trans stuff at all. It was like, Mom was just there listening, and Dad was the one just going off about me, every little thing that I was doing wrong in the house, and that's all it came up to. It was like, do you need a therapist to talk about this? I guess he's one right here. And that's when he came back and started calling therapists whack jobs and all kinds of stuff like that. So it was like, yeah, I had parents that were accepting, but Dad didn't believe it at all. I don't think he believes in therapy or psychology, because I think that's a lot of things. Rejection of science. I think a lot of conservatives reject psychology as a science in general. They have to come to the no that, or they're just uneducated in psychology. That might be it. Because I don't want to say that conservatives in general just don't. Maybe they're ignorant or willfully ignorant, but I don't know. Maybe if they knew what the therapists and psychologists knew, I don't know. But it's like they don't want to look further than their nose. They'll let other people think for them for that. It's like, you can't do that. You got to think for yourself. You know, the funny thing is conservatives are like all for thinking for yourself. But the thing is uneducated, what do you call it? Common sense is the thinking for yourself. No, that's not thinking for yourself. That's stopping thinking. So yeah, that was my first doctor, and then I already said in this video, Landon was my second therapist, who was also trans himself. So that was a really good one, and he is like booked out like so much that he's not taking more clients. So it's like, I don't know, what do I even do? I don't have anything I can really do for that. I'd like to see him again. So anyways, I called the Transgender Health and Wellness Center, and they said they offer free therapy. So that's really cool for anybody here in Southern California that's anywhere in the Inland Empire that's like needs free therapy. Right there. We have one in Riverside, and Transgender Health and Wellness. I was like, but there's a wait. There's a wait. They said there's a wait. And there's about, let's see, I think they said a 5-month wait. So if you need therapy, definitely give them a call, and hey, maybe you'll get some help, and you'll, you know, for me, therapy was really what, you know, like jump-started stuff to make it feel like it was real. It really did, because then I was able to get hormones, I was able to get all kinds of stuff. The other sort of doctor I went to, but wasn't really a doctor, was a technician, was electrolysis. Before I did that though, I went to a laser hair removal place. And I did it like on my face like once or twice, but I had it so low it just wasn't working. Because when they turned it on where it was high enough that it was working, it was actually too painful for me. So it felt like literally being punched in the face several times, and I couldn't handle it. But electrolysis is a tiny needle they slip in, and then shock, and then pull it out really quick. And I could handle that pain. That was just like a quick, and then you were done. And they had me have this like cream that would numb my face so that it wouldn't hurt so bad. The part where it hurt was down here. That's where it really hurt. Oh, and of course right here. All around here is really kind of painful. But when you numb it up, see what I would have it do. Here's a pro tip for you. If you have your face being done, you have it so that there's your numbing cream, and then you have like a plastic thing that you stick to your face, and that helps it like stay inside and it stays numb. So as they are doing the, what do you call it, the electrolysis, you have them pull a little bit back and leave it on there, but then you have it pull a little bit back, and then they work on that area, and then pull a little bit more, and then wipe it off, and then work on that area, and they just keep going and going until it's completely off. That's the way I suggest you have it happen, because you keep the numbing stuff on as long as possible, and they just wipe it off as they're going, and that seemed to work really well for me. That's the process. So yeah, I also had electrolysis on the tops of my legs, and that helped a lot because I had a lot of hair still. I'd like to continue doing electrolysis or some sort of hair removal on my back, because I still have on my lower back, I still have kind of fuzzy back there. Once you start taking hormones, it lessens the amount of hair you have, or it lightens it. Because I don't know if you know, so with electrolysis, like I said, they slip the needle next to the hair, and then they shock the follicle or something around there that produces the hair. And what it does is it shocks the follicle, and it kind of like damages it. And you keep doing that over and over, and eventually it damages the follicle enough that it just produces very tiny hairs. So it's effectively just lessening how much hair is coming out, how much hair it's producing. At least that's how my electrolysis technician said it worked. I forget her name. I think her name is Paige, and she's in Riverside as well. It used to be, I used to go to the Crystal Desert, Palm Springs, around that area. And I used to actually, if you don't make much money, you can get IEHP, which, the free, or you can get the paid version, which isn't free, but it's still pretty inexpensive, especially if you're not making much money. But you can go, I used to, if you're getting the free IEHP, they will actually drive you to any of your appointments for free. So that's what I used to do, and they'd drive me an hour drive or an hour and a half drive to Crystal Desert, and it was like, I wrote a book that year. But I think it was actually 2 years that I went and I did electrolysis going out there. And I wrote a book in those 2 years, like a book and a half. And I used to actually, my electrolysis actually looked forward to seeing me, because I would tell her about my book, and then I'd bounce off ideas from her. And so it was really a good time. Yeah, so that was really fun, but painful. Luckily for me, I am a Zennial, which is like between Millennial and Generation X. So I am prepared for being able to spend copious amounts of times without having to, be on the internet. I loved going on the internet when I was a teenager, but yeah, I remember time in the 80s when there just was no real internet to jump on. But there were all obviously handheld devices like the Game Boy, but that was like in 89, I think, when that came out. But yeah, most of my young childhood was in the 80s. We spent a lot of our childhood just outside, just doing whatever we wanted. And of course, the whole, come inside when the lights come on the lamps or whatever, the street lights. That it was true. That's how it worked. When you watch old movies like E.T. or heck, even TV shows like what do you call it? Stranger Things. Yep, that's we were roving kids on bikes, just exploring the world, pretty much. Sorry, that was another tangent. I also saw a psychologist because I've had like feelings that maybe I might be, somewhere on the spectrum. It would be lightly on the spectrum, but they ruled out, they said that I'm not. This psychologist, I saw a psychologist for this, not therapist, but yeah, they said they didn't see signs of me having ADHD or autism. So I don't know if they just call it on the spectrum nowadays, but yeah, they didn't say but some of my friends think I am definitely somewhere on the spectrum. It would be on the light end if it is, but I know I have a little bit of dyslexia because I know this because when I go in DoorDash, another tangent, sometimes I'll be looking at the address and then I have to read it out loud for it to be the correct address sometimes. But sometimes I can just read it and I can get it right. So it's a little bit of dyslexia. Yeah, my brain will swap around a few numbers usually. That's what happens. But I found if I just read it out loud, it's because my brain captures the actual numbers, and if I read them out loud, then it's weird because it's not actually flipped around. The numbers aren't flipped around. It's just that it's like my brain doesn't see them differently. It's just that it processes the numbers incorrectly. It doesn't show them differently in my vision. It just processes the number when I'm thinking of it without visually or speaking it out loud. It's like my brain sees it correctly, but processes it incorrectly. It's kind of weird. That might be one of the reasons I'm such a slow reader. I can read it, and I'm one of the people that has to read every single word, and that's probably because I have a slight bit of dyslexia. So I read every word, and then sometimes I'll read like half a page or a full page, and be like, I don't remember a single word I've read. And I think I've heard other people say that, so it's not just me. I think that's why audiobooks are so appealing to me, because hearing them, I don't have any sort of dyslexia that way. Anyways, I think that's it for me. I think I went through all my doctor stuff. I can't think of anything else right now, doctor-wise. But yeah, I got used to doing needles because twice a year I was getting blood drawn, and it was a lot of blood. So I just got used to it. It's something you just desensitize yourself to from eventually. And that was probably the most scary thing about it, was getting, blood drawn. But now I'm just like, all right, here's my arm. It's a little bit of a pain, and then it's done. I don't know. But I think that's it. So I'll see you guys later, and I hope you have a great night.